Welcome to Pro Flight Live. We're at the Mendham Golf and Tennis Club here in beautiful Mendham, New Jersey, alongside Paddleboy Ara and Kazi Anthony Casamano. And our first match of the evening we're bringing you is going to be the Battle of the PTIs for all of you PTI lovers out there. And Anthony, why don't you start off and introduce one of the teams for us out here?
Okay, so I will introduce my side since I've played quite a bit with James Glenn. James Glenn plays out of Park Lakes. He is playing also with his partner, John D. Grand Prix, also from Park Lakes.
Please.
Hold on one moment.
Welcome to the 2022 Ultimate PTI Challenge by ProFlight. Our main sponsors tonight that we'd like to thank: Clarefeld Citizen Private Wealth and Celebrity Motorcar. Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. And now, introduction for the players. On my left, playing out of New Canaan Field Club in New Canaan, Connecticut, Roxy Enica. And her playing partner, playing out of the Patterson Club in Fairfield, Connecticut, Gabby Nicolescu. Representing the ladies are the 2022 National Champions and 2022 Montclair Open winners. And on my right, playing out of Park Lakes, New Jersey, James Glenn, 2016 Men's State Champion, 2018 Quad winner with me as his partner, and two-time defending Last Chance Invitational winner, James Glenn. Where's the jacket, James? And his playing partner, playing out of Park Lakes, New Jersey as well, 2022 Green Mountain Open finalist. And new inductee to the top 5 most nicest guys to play in the Power community, John. The ladies will be serving. Please take one up. Guys are playing 2 sets. Third set 15.
All right, and after our announcements and presentation of the players by our chair umpire, G-Rob, Greg Robertson, we're back to the action. And Ara, you want to give us some insight on some of the players' PTIs and info, some background info on them?
Yeah, actually, Roxy and Gabby have an average PTI of about 8, whereas John de Grand Prix and James Glenn have about roughly the same. I mean, John's about at 11 right now, and James is at a 5. So comparatively, these two teams are very, very close.
So it should make for an interesting match. Anthony, what do you think is going to happen tonight?
Well, it's interesting. This is going to be a good, we don't get much crossover information between the two tours, the men's tour and the women's tour, to see if PTI really holds true. So with Gabby and Roxy actually having a lower average PTI than James and John, it should be quite interesting. I feel, just in my gut, that James and John should prevail in this match, but let's see how PTI deals with this.
I don't know. I've got Roxy and Gabby in this
you
one.
You do? Okay.
Absolutely.
So,
I mean, they're seasoned pros.
Well, I was going to say that. I don't know. Has James and John played in front of a crowd like this? Roxy and Gabby are national champions. They are always on the big stage. They're always playing live stream matches. So let's see what happens. I think early on, if Gabby and Roxy can get out to a quick lead, maybe take advantage of some of the nerves or some of the inexperience of the big stage, let's call it. As we know, Pro Flight Paddle is one of the biggest stages to play on. But it should definitely be an interesting match.
James is looking a little nervous out there right now in the warm-up. He's looking around. He sees everybody looking at him. I don't know.
I think out there the most nervous and anxious people are on the PTI committee.
We have Amin out there and Damien. They're probably watching right now, wanting to see what the outcome is going to be of this match.
I don't think who wins matters. They just want this to be 7-6 in the third and maybe a 7-hour match.
And I think the question is, will this match count for PTI? I don't know if that's been decided yet.
Well, whether it is or not, we could always add it after.
Yes, I think all the gurus behind the PTI are interested in this playing out exactly the way it should to really validate the PTI system that we have.
Absolutely. And I think, it's funny talking with Roxy and Gabby. Gabby was like, I didn't even know what my PTI was until I walked in the room tonight and people started talking about it. I think Roxy and Gabby, they're just here to win the match.
I mean, Roxy just hit a drive. She just blasted one right past James. And I think it caught James a little bit by surprise. I don't think he was expecting that.
Well, she may want to hold off of that until the points start counting.
Well, we know Roxy has vast experience playing mixed doubles. She's seen Juan Araya's spins. She's a 3-time, I believe, if not more, national champ in mixed doubles. So she is not going to be fazed by anything coming out of that corner. Neither James nor John have the spins that should be problematic for them. And Gabby, I'm not sure she has any mixed nationals, but she...
Oh, she does. She won with Drew.
There you go. So she has a mixed nationals, and she plays a lot as well. So they are not going to be phased. I agree with you 100%. They are not going to be nervous. They've played on this kind of a stage. They've been live streamed. They're used to the crowds. If that will affect anyone, it will be James and John, who might feel they have a little bit more to lose.
It definitely looks like these two teams are trying to win the warm-up. They're not just out there looking for ways to get their muscles loose. They're trying to prove a point right now. They're taking dominance here.
Just heard Gabby ask about foot faults, so she's serious.
And my camera is ready.
We do have real paddle boys here, so foot faults are on the table.
No one is safe.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if you heard that, but the third set is going to be a 15-point super tiebreaker.
Did I also hear this is no ad scoring?
No ad scoring, that's correct. Looks like John and James are talking a lot of strategy right now. I think they saw something during the warm-up that they want to make sure they capitalize on. Roxy and Gabby look very relaxed, very confident. They know what they're doing out here. They've been here before.
I don't know if it makes a difference, but John and James both have their matching green hats on, so having team uniforms may help them. And it looks like, boys, we're about to play ball.
You can cut the tension with a knife here.
Gabby Nicolescu to start serving, and we're underway.
We know that Gabby likes to hit hard rolling overheads, as does Roxy. Let's see if they continue with that against John and James.
And I think John and James are both going to have to look to take more of the overheads off the deck. This is going to be a big part of the match, is James's return to serve, especially when Gabby's serving. Because James Glenn does have a big forehand return.
Yes.
And he can go cross court with it. He can go down the line with it. And I know from the guys in the New Jersey Men's League, I don't know how many players John and James faced that hit that big rolling overhead at the nick over and over and over.
So I don't think they will win many free points with that hard overhead, but it might give them the openings they need to hit some more offensive overheads. I have seen both Gabby and Roxy win points outright in the women's tour with those shots. I'm not sure we'll get free points, but it certainly might
could create something.
Create something, exactly.
And there's that big return by James Glenn, following up with a little blitz there, and break point number 1.
There we go. A couple of hard overheads that opened up some opportunities for a cross-court overhead winner.
And I think one of the sort of traps that Gabby and Roxy are going to have to try to stay away from is if John and James get a lot of balls back, a lot of balls in play, they can't try to go for too much or go for more. You know, they have to still hit the shots but give themselves a margin of error. You know, where it's not risk-reward is kind of, you know.
Yes.
The risk-reward's high. It's a real well-spotted ball by John D. Grand Prix off the return of serve.
We all forgot. There's a good crowd here tonight.
Just realized there was no ad scoring, so they're...
Glad we didn't tell you it was a no-adder. Well, in the other one they played as it got to another season.
Chair umpire Greg Robertson still going through the rules in his head for tonight's scoring. John D. Grand Prix to start serving.
Let's see if John and James take that same strategy with some more forceful overheads to create the same chaos on the other side.
Lob 15.
And I think, Anthony, to your point earlier, James can do a lot of spins with the ball. I don't know how much he's going to do it tonight, but, you know, you watch him practice, you watch him warm up, and he can do a lot of different things with the ball. It's just a matter of, is it going to come out tonight?
Yes, and when he's more comfortable, like most people, when you're comfortable, you can hit those slices a little bit more easily. And we'll see how comfortable he feels.
Beautiful night here. Fire pit's going. Food
30-15.
is coming off the grill. The bar is open.
The bar is open. I'll be back in a few minutes.
Spirits are high.
Warning. Yellow card.
A little gamesmanship by John.
A little altercation here on the court.
Trying to rush the play along.
The crowd is booing.
Yeah, the crowd didn't like that.
Wow.
What do we think? This could be followed up by a fault? Pressure from the crowd. Wow, nice deep serve.
There's a little miscommunication between John and James there.
They are both from Park Lakes, but I don't know how often they play together.
That's an interesting serve. Good get by Gabby. I'm sure she doesn't see a big kick serve like that a lot.
Good placement.
James Glenn with his own version of the roller. giving them a little of their own medicine, as they say.
James, the Grand Prix Glenn. The Grand Prix Glenn leads the first set, 2-0.
Solid hold. Doesn't look like either team is in a rhythm yet. The points are going pretty quickly.
And right now, I know there was a poll on Pro Fly Paddle Instagram that allowed followers to vote on who they thought was going to win. And coming into the match, there were still some votes being cast. And Roxy and Gabby have a slight lead as to who's going to win this match. 52% of the voters picked them to 48 for James and John.
15 all.
That's a nice
Really good
dig.
get. Good anticipation there by John D. Grand Prix. Looks like that point they were focused playing the forehand side, keeping the ball more to John. Let's see if they continue that pattern. Really good solid volleys up at the net.
Yes. That is certainly a strength on the team of James and John. James has a big forehand. He'll hit it out. Good topspin, good accuracy. If Roxy and Gabby can volley those, sometimes he does get frustrated. So let's see if that plays out as well. They've made some great volleys early on.
Great get. There's that big forehand. Roxy volleys it back. Here's what we talked about, I mentioned earlier, about just getting a little impatient.
Yes.
They probably thought they won that point 3 times for different reasons, and looks like they just got a little frustrated.
Here's another unforced error.
James found the shoelaces on that one, so good pace.
All right, we have another break point. This is game point. After that last return, right, they probably didn't want to go after James's forehand. Ooh. Painted the line.
Great dig.
What a get.
Fantastic get after she thought it was going out.
What another one. I thought if they could have pulled that point off, it could have been the turning point.
I mean, these are all tight games. You know, it's a 3-0 lead right now, but it doesn't feel like they're running away with it.
2 out of the 3 games have gone to deuce, to the deuce point. It'd be interesting to see if anyone out there watching, if the polls have changed as to who they think is going to come away victorious in the battle of the PTIs.
I don't know. There's a lot of Roxy and Gabby fans out there. I think they're supporting them tonight.
15, look.
They're expecting them to come alive right now and take over the set and crush them in the second set.
I don't think that's too far-fetched. I think I've seen Gabby and Roxy come from first set losses to second set
we just
large margin wins. So
we actually just got notified by Amin Kaduri, the president of the APTA, that this match will count for PTI. This is a PTI live account. The only other question I have for Amin, if he is still listening, is this a 1.5 times weighting like a regular tournament, or is this more or less?
Or do we have signed contracts by the players? One of the teams may not want this to go towards PTI.
That's true.
That's why I don't play anymore. I'm trying to protect my PTI.
That is one way to do it.
30 all.
After a fantastic drive on the previous point by Roxy, she let a fairly easy lob get away from her.
A little bit of a lucky break there for James Glenn on that overhead. Also going into this John D. Grand Prix, I don't know if he's still a member here at Mendham, but I know he used to play for them. He was a member for many years. Maybe coming back to his home club, he might have a little bit added pressure.
That's a great
And he
shot.
answers the question with a little sizzle overhead.
I guess there's no pressure.
They lead the first set, 4 games to love.
I hope in the next match the boys are getting ready and warming up. This is going to be a tough act to follow.
Like, I mean, Roxy and Gabby have been here before. They've been down for love before, and they know how to come back and take matches like this. So I think we haven't seen the last of them yet in this set.
No, and you know what? We've played. We know, how it goes in waves.
Love 15.
They'll continue to communicate with each other, change the strategy, I'm sure. Still feels like they're forcing it a little bit on their side, Gabby and Roxy.
Yeah, and I think they just have to be patient.
Yes.
Knowing that, you know what? If they feel like normally it takes them 3 good shots to win a point, well, now it might take 5 really good shots to win a point.
Right.
There's no need to force it. If they're hitting shots that John and James aren't really hurting them, they don't need to go for more. And I think, John and James have just sort of, gone with the flow. They've kind of.
Yes, they're not doing anything.
No,
they're letting it play out.
Correct.
And they're just winning the points as they evolve.
Playing good, solid paddle. I mean, you saw that John hit a good lob, then he got a short ball and just hit a good drive, good solid drive. And, they're just playing good, solid paddle right now. Good hands. And that's an interesting one right there where James, I think, took a little bit off that drive.
Just notified by Anna and Floor that they are rooting for Roxy and Gabby right now. They're at home watching. They're very excited about this match, as we all were.
I just want to know, are they waiting because they have winners after the match is over? They're going to play the 4th match of the night. They're going to come down. They have winners.
It's always surprises at Pro Flight Paddle. It's a little long.
The Grand Prix.
And it's interesting because,
And the Grand Prix lead the first set 5.
as we talked about James Glenn's forehand, they haven't won many missed volley points. So as big as his forehand return is, Roxy and Gabby are still getting him back. They're hitting him with depth on the volley. It's in the middle of the points where they're getting a little frustrated, it looks, or maybe a little impatient, trying to go for more than they have to.
Yes, agreed. They're not winning any big points outright, forehand winners. I do feel, again, that they're just not quite settled. Some of these shots, I think Roxy, I've seen her make a million times, and she seems just maybe a little bit ahead of herself. Maybe she's thinking too much that she has to be better and better and better. And I think it's holding her back just a little right now. I think it'll change, though.
Oh, boy. Do you still get a point if the ball goes under the net? You get a half a point these days still? You only get the full point when it goes over the net, right?
I think so.
I had a call today from New Jersey platform tennis legend John Lubau, participant in many pro fly paddle events, giving me some insight on John and James, as he told me he often plays with them, and he was one of the ones he pointed out to me about James's forehand and how big he can go cross court or down the line. And John D. Grand Prix is just a solid player, and you know, he'll kind of do the setup role for James. And
2 missed drives in a row, and that's why I feel like they're still not, they're rushing just a little bit. They're feeling like they have to make their shots too perfect. I think we get this first set behind them. They will settle in just a little bit. That's a great serve.
That's a real big serve.
They win the first set, 6-0.
Let's see if Gabby and Roxy are going to make any changes here. I just got a text from Patty Hogan, who says she believes that Gabby needs to switch over to the ad side.
You know, it's interesting you said that, because I've
And
watched a few matches for both of them playing, and yes, Roxy probably prefers the backhand more, but plays the forehand very well.
Well, they've already started out. I don't know if they did it because of which side it was, but Roxy is starting out serving the second set where Gabby started out the...
That was wide.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to force it a little bit. Really good volley by Roxy on a well-spotted drive by James there.
There it is again. Really big forehand rollers. Just a little bit out.
What do you think if they kept with the roller, but maybe tried to slow it down and make them take more balls off the deck, maybe get it to get lower into the screen? But it just doesn't seem like the hard roller is affecting James and John that much. Like, I like that pace of the roller better.
Great move by James.
Yeah, they're both still trying to figure out the pace on those overheads to create a little bit more motion on that side, but James and John are very comfortable. They're not scrambling at all. And so I think Roxy and Gabby are starting to say, well, what do I do next? And since they don't have a lot of experience playing these guys specifically, they haven't made the right decision and choices yet. Let's hope we have enough time left in this second set for them to figure it out. But this point looks better. They're not overhitting it. Keeping the ball deep with a little less pace.
So like that last overhead, that's not going to affect John. I think if you go more for the nick, I think if you go softer at him, that might be a better option.
But you're not going to hit a winner on that. So Roxy taking that angle,
right,
to try to create a crack over there, too risky for the reward.
All right, we have 1-love here in the second set from Mendham Golf Club in beautiful Mendham, New Jersey. We have John D. Grand Prix and James Glenn playing against Roxy Anika and Gabby Nicolescu.
I think we just want to give a shout out to Roxy's club up in New Canaan and Gabby's club at Patterson Club. And of course, James and John are from Park Lakes.
15 all.
You see James starting to get a little confident with his overhead as well.
And that was wide. So just a reminder for the folks that have joined us after the introduction, this is a battle of the PTI where James Glenn has a 5.0 PTI. John D. Grand Prix has a 11 PTI for a combined of 16.2 versus Gabby with a 4.3 PTI and a Roxy with an 8.6. So combined PTI 12.9 for the ladies team versus 16.2 for the men's team.
And you know, it's important to note that these numbers are so fluid, right? Like you win one match and you gain 1 or 2 points. You get another tight one and you only go down like 0.1 or 2. So you know, there's about a 4-point difference between these two, but that could change after this match, right? Because this does count, as Amin said, for PTI.
They lead the second set 2 games to love.
All right, that's a big first point. Let's see if they can leverage that to make it the turning point of the match.
Big swing by James. Top of the net. Little opening for Roxy and Gabby here.
Love 30. Sorry, 30 love.
Really like to see them play a long point,
Say,
Roxy and Gabby.
I think this needs to be the longest and most patient point of the match.
Yes.
And then you see the experience of James is taking pace off that ball. He's known for having a big forehand, and I think Roxy was looking for the speed, and he took the pace off and, you know, gave her a little bit of a changeup.
Yeah, he saw Roxy was back at the service line and adjusted well. Put it at her. And that's the point I was hoping not to see. The last point in this one, very quick. Roxy got a little loose, hit it deep. To avoid giving the free points away.
It's a well-spotted drive. Got Roxy to flip her paddle over, and that was a really well-spotted drive. And I think there's a big crowd watching tonight. I think Park Lakes is having a watch party over at the club.
A little opening there for Roxy and Gabby.
Okay, we have a game point for either team.
Play deuce.
Ooh, interesting. They're going to James.
Well, they have to change something up.
Yeah.
Oh, James comes through down the line.
James makes them pay.
And you know what? They were up 30 love in that game. But again, John and James hit 2 well-spotted drives. They kind of tightened it up when they needed to. They put the ball in good spots. John and James are playing really well. We have NJMPTA board member Dennis Cusack in the crowd today. Big wave to Dennis in the crowd. Dennis, an avid player, well, partnered long time with KJ, Kevin Johnston out of Essex Fells Country Club. Really good close in the net on that one.
Yes, Gabby was hoping she would catch them a little back off the net, but John stepped in, volleyed behind.
Quick points, quick points.
You get the feeling this is the game here. If they can't pull this one out, it's going to be a very uphill battle.
I think we might already be at that long uphill battle.
Yeah.
All right, we see.
Here we go. Here we go.
I don't know.
Just as
Will
we
that
speak,
be the turning point?
Just as we speak, we know paddle can turn on 1 point. Is this the one?
Also want to mention Greg Robertson, one of the veteran APTA umpires. See him on a lot of big, high-profile matches throughout the year.
He's been umpiring for about 4 years now. He's the head of umpiring in New Jersey.
Great.
That's a good get.
Good get by Gabby, but James is right on top of the net.
And for all of you watching, following this match, we have the lefties versus the righties coming up next with Drew Broderick and Mick Erdoya taking on Mark Powers and Marco Grangiero.
So it is late in the second set, and we haven't seen those hard rollers from Gabby and Roxy. Haven't been effective yet. Maybe letting that ball drop a little bit, doing a cutter low at their feet might be an option to
Anything to force a lob.
create a shorter lob, because John and James are just way too comfortable back there. They're completely comfortable taking that ball off the back screen on those harder rollers. Really hasn't phased them yet. That's the one right there from Roxy. She can hit that consistently as long as she's close to the net.
That's a great, oh. I mean, that was a back-to-back-to-back great shot by James. Great get by Roxy, and then the slash overhead by John D. Grand Prix to finish it off.
Serve went wide.
Uh-oh. Is Greg Robertson, chair umpire, going to have to overrule? Nope, he agrees with the call.
Little cat and mouse there.
And you know what they
Roxy
say?
comes out on top.
The cat always gets the mouse.
30 all.
Nice play by Roxy.
30 all.
All right, here we go.
You got a game point. Roxy serve.
You know what they say? You got to get to one to get to two. This could be the start. And I just think the last couple of points have been longer points, longer rallies. That's just a pretty good return.
Cheers. Server choice. Server choice.
So Dave, what do you do at this point? If you're Roxy and Gabby, what are you thinking, and what would you change to try and just get a game and just start getting some momentum together, piecing a comeback together?
I think it's unfortunately easy for us in here and for me to give my thoughts as opposed to when you're out there. But again, I think they just got to keep one more ball in play, play the longer points, play to the middle of the court. Don't go for some of those high risk overheads that they were going for. Like this is a really good solid point. Great get by Roxy to stay in it.
Great reset lob.
And I don't think this is a bad thing on game point that they're on the baseline right now. Well, up until that. I don't know. That wasn't in the pregame scouting report, but that was a pretty good shot.
That is a 6-love, 4-love, comfortable, confident slice by James. It did sit up just a little bit, making that shot a little easier.
Is there breaking news that the PTI committee is meeting as we speak?
Serving love.
Actually, this game itself will help improve PTI and actually make it more accurate, right? Because with this game, John and James's PTIs will lower, right, and get even more accurate. And Gabby and Roxy's PTIs may go up as well, right, to kind of start leveling it out. So it's matches like this that I think help improve the accuracy of PTI over time.
Right, and that's when we talk about crossing the tours. More matches like this, more mixed doubles, more will only serve to create a better PTI.
Yep.
And we know when there's pockets of players that play in certain areas and only play against each other, PTIs tend to get a little skewed, and then you'll see that mix between the Northeast and Chicago. And as that mix happens, PTI gets more accurate, and you will see someone with a lower PTI losing to someone with a higher PTI, and it works itself out over the course of a season as that mix happens, but it happens less frequently.
But this match
could,
women's, for all four players, wind up being a pretty big swing.
Yep.
Being that Roxy and Gabby's PTIs were lower than James and John.
I'd have to guess that Roxy and Gabby were probably favored to win about 60 to 65% of the games. So it would be a pretty big swing if James and John can actually win 100%.
There was kind of the first loose point by James and John that we've seen this evening. Oh, 2 in a row. He's looking at the lights.
The pressure may be getting to them.
Fought back to a deuce, sudden death match point and game point.
They're at the edge of glory right now. Can they get over the hump?
Big serve. There they go.
And the crowd goes wild. Will this be the momentum swing that we've all been hoping for?
Will we see a Pro Flight tiebreaker for the third set?
If you've never been up 5-1 and lost, then you're not really a paddle player. I think I said that to my wife today, so it's top of mind.
Okay, a little.
15.
See, more patient points. They're making them play the ball off the deck. They're not getting as many balls into the screen. I think John and James were just comfortable letting those hard rollers go to the screen.
15.
Good return. That's one of the first volley misses that we've seen tonight from Gabby or Roxy. They've done a really good job with those first volleys.
She's been very good with both of them. Have been very good on the first volley.
Again, another well-spotted drive. He didn't hit it that hard.
No, right
he
off
just
the
picked
right
the
hip.
spot right down the middle.
And you can see Gabby and Roxy are both a little bit hesitant to crash the net a little bit. In many of these instances, when that ball drops below the net, they'll step towards the net to cut off that volley. They're a little hesitant because James does have quite a big forehand, and that might be a little contributing to that indecision.
Towards
to really
the end
close.
here, James is getting a couple of uncharacteristic.
missed a few.
Yeah, maybe trying to finish it off, and
They see the finish line ahead of him, and I think he's just trying to end it.
that's it. It's a good return. Again, a well-spotted drive. We have the guys from down at Spring Lake Seagirt watching. Steve Ellis. Big follower of Pro Fly Paddle. No, it's wide.
Can they win 2 games in a row?
Full stands.
James showing great sportsmanship there, calling his ball out.
40-30.
40-30. We've had a cup 40-30 with game point.
Has anyone been keeping track of the deuce games, the 3-all games? I know we've had quite a few. I haven't counted.
So the first set we probably had 3. See, they're going back to the hard overhead. I liked it when they were letting
Yes.
them take the ball off the deck.
I agree. I think the hard overhead has proven ineffective right now. I think let Roxy let that slice ball cutter come a little bit lower.
And I think, in all honesty, it's given John and James options.
It's giving them offensive
Right,
opportunities.
it's almost causing Gabby and Roxy to like pause them and freeze them because they don't know what's coming.
Exactly. It's keeping them unsettled
Right.
instead of the opposite, right?
You'd think they'd want to go more for like that slow roller.
Like
right
I like
to the
this. I
corner,
like
you
this
know?
play. I like this play. They're making them take them off the deck. They're not getting hurt. Ooh, close one.
And the nice, see, extend
All
the
right.
point. Well played. And now we're at 5-2.
Brandon de Grand Prix lead the second set.
In the high pressure
5 games to
situations,
2.
the 12th game is the hardest one to win.
Will John and James tighten up here? I think they know a lot of people now are getting a little bit more excited about this, a little bit more anxious.
Well, isn't 5-2 the curse score?
It is. The dreaded 5-2.
I could see the vote swaying if this goes one more game. If we get into a third set.
Wow.
A little fancy footwork.
Great play by Roxy.
Great play. A series of great forehands.
And she just looked completely comfortable and confident in those, which she hasn't seemed as confident earlier on. Maybe.
The texts
These
are
last
coming in.
couple games.
The viewers want to come back. They want to come back.
Of course.
They want the third set.
The first to 15. Win by 1.
I'm going to go out on a limb. If this goes to a third set, I'm going to say Roxy and Gabby have an 80% chance of winning.
Could Roxy and Gabby just be settling in?
seem to be working on John a lot here.
I mean, we saw John and James run off a bunch of games. Well, why can't Gabby and Roxy do it as well? Well spotted drive, good volley by James. Also, it's 6-love, 5-love. They're playing with nothing to lose.
That ball was wide. Definitely swinging away. Roxy puts tremendous pressure on there. That's a great play. Moving
Morristown,
forward.
longtime Morristown Field Club player, member of Fiddler's Elbow. Chuck Faig out there watching. We haven't seen that in a while. We haven't seen that in a while, and that was a big point to pull it back out on.
Server choice deuce.
Okay, we have another.
That's it. Look
Three-all
at,
game.
I like this play. They're making them think about it. Can we call a timeout right now? Ice them. Can we call a timeout? Call a timeout.
Game match.
And folks, there you have it. In the Ultimate PTI Challenge, James Glenn and John D. Grand Prix defeat Gabby Nicolescu and Roxy Anika, 6-love, 6-2 from the beautiful Mendham Golf and Tennis Club here in Mendham, New Jersey. Guys, what do you think to wrap it up before we go and see some commercials and sponsor information? Ara, what did you think about that match?
I was a little surprised. I actually thought it was going to be a little bit closer. I think that everybody kind of came out a little bit tight, not knowing what to expect, and I think it showed. And I think James and John got a quick early lead. It relaxed them a little bit, but I don't think Roxy and Gabby got that opportunity, and they stayed tight throughout it. And they were trying to find ways to win against John and James, but they were solid. They just did not make mistakes. They just got everything back. They were patient, and I think Roxy and Gabby tried to rush it a little bit and caused theirs.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think if they played 6 more sets, it would start skewing the other way if they became more and more comfortable, but they never quite settled into that rhythm that I've seen them play many, many times.
So the next Pro Flight event is going to be an 8-set marathon match.
Well, I was going to say, so you're saying the PTI Challenge could be more of a marathon than a sprint.
It looks like it, yes.
All right. Well, thank you all for watching. Please stay tuned. Up next, we have the lefties versus the righties. Drew Broderick, Mick Udoya against Mark Powers and Marco Grangero. Now a word from our sponsors.
Great job. Hey, good stuff to you. Patty, good job. Yeah, a lot of fun. You guys look great out there. How long have you been playing?
Who, me? Oh, I've been playing my whole life. How about you?
Wow, I only started playing when I retired.
Someone say retired?
Looking good out there, Eli.
Thank you.
Okay, and welcome back to Mendham Golf and Tennis Club here in Mendham, New Jersey. Pro Flight Paddle Live. You just watched our Ultimate PTI Challenge. And next up is Mick Erdoya and Drew Broderick taking on Mark Powers and Marco Grangiero. We'd like to thank our sponsors, Clarefeld Citizens Private Wealth, Celebrity Motor Car Company, Xenon Paddles, the official ball of Pro Flight Paddle. We have Master Athletics, the official paddle of Pro Flight Paddle Tour. Paddle Pro, PPAC Private Wealth Management. We want to shout out to Mendham Golf.
You all right, Dave? You need some water?
Sorry about that.
No worries.
I think maybe I do need some water to drink. And coming to the booth, we have a special guest commentator.
Rodney Dangerfield, how you doing there? Hanging out here at the Mendham Golf and Tennis Club, huh? All right, we just saw James Glenn. He didn't turn out to be Bobby Riggs, you know? Remember the time Connors almost, he bet all the money on himself and he went down in the first set to Navratilova at AC? Ooh, I'll tell you.
We did, that was the battle of the PTI.
I'll tell you. So you got little brother going up next, huh? The Bayonne Bomber.
Drew and Mick to take on Mark and this will be
Mr.
another
Quick.
Mark and Marco.
How did G-Rob get out there? I guess they let anybody in here.
No,
huh?
G-Rob's one of the well-respected umpires. A lot of national experience out there. Pro Flight Paddle, we need the top official for these events.
All right.
All right, so we got to, Rodney, we got to give the mic back to Arrow. We got to get him back
I got
on.
no respect,
There you
respect
go.
at all.
Okay, quick warm-up. It looks like we're ready to get underway. Greg Robertson will do the introductions.
Again, the 2022 Ultimate Pro Flight Challenge, sponsored by major sponsor Clarefeld, Citizen Private Wealth, and Celebrity Motor Car. Playing on my left here, playing out of New York City, Mark Powers. And his playing partner, playing out of Knickerbocker, Marco Grangiero. On my right, playing out of Canoe Brook Country Club, Drew Broderick. And his playing partner, playing out of Montclair, New Jersey, Nick Araya. Gentlemen, 2 sets, third set tiebreak to 15, no ad.
Who's playing, Mick Araya or Mick Erdoya?
Yeah, that looked like he combined names there, but we know Mick.
We think he may have some cigar smoke clouding his vision. So, Anthony, what do you think we're going to see in this match? What can we look for?
Well, I had a chance to speak with Mark Powers for just a few moments. He's taken a slow start to the season. I was actually concerned that maybe he or John were injured, but they're not. They're just busy with young kids and life. So he has had a slow start, but he said this will mark the first part of his season. And, you know, these guys, Mark and both Marks, will come right out of the box and play strong. Drew has a strategy for everything, so he's, I'm sure, strategized exactly how he wants to play this match, and he will take it as seriously as any other match he plays.
15.
And it's interesting because we don't often see a lefty-lefty matchup, but for Drew and Mick, they're actually both playing on the sides that they normally play on from the baseline.
Right.
It'll be interesting to see what happens at the net, but it shouldn't be much different than two righties playing together. They're just going to flip sides of the court, and they're going to play over on the more on the deuce side, more to Marco.
So People say that a lot. Why are two lefties any different than two righties? But there is a difference. And actually, I was coaching with Drew the other day, and he said his whole career at the net. Right, so when you're a righty, you play half of your career at the net on the ad side and half the career on the deuce side. Drew plays his entire career on the deuce side as a lefty. So when you put two lefties together, one will be playing on the ad side, and they will not be completely comfortable.
Wow, see a slash, nice sizzle overhead there by Marco Grangiero.
So there will be a little of that. They won't be completely comfortable, but obviously two fantastic athletes. They will adjust, and we probably won't even notice, but they will notice.
Really good return there by Mick. And going back to that previous shot by Marco, you just see how the game is evolving and the players are getting better all the time. You know, Marco's probably known as, you know, a consistent guy. He keeps a lot of balls in play, solid player, and then he still has the ability to put that ball away, which, you know, I think even, you know, at all levels, especially the higher level, that's what it's starting to take to win points.
For sure.
Hey, Dave, did I hear correctly that you're going to be on Inside the Wires coming up? Is
I
that
am.
true?
I am on the next episode of Inside the Wires. It must have been a slow month for the boys at Ben and Noah, that they needed me to fill some airtime. But as always, I always appreciate them.
They said they wanted Diamond Dave.
It's always, we always have fun. I thought it was coming out today, but it should be out shortly. And I appreciate their efforts for everything they do to make the sport more well known. And we see the first body shot of the night.
Wow, Mick doesn't even look at him.
So who has the biggest forehand on this court? Marco has a laser beam. I just played with him not too long ago and realized once again, how big his forehand is. Mark Powers just hit a laser return of serve as well. There's a lot of offense on that side.
Mix isn't bad either.
Right.
No.
Right. Do we dare say that Drew has the least powerful drive in this court?
I was wondering to see what this match was going to be like.
Wait, you mean Drew hits forehand drives?
I didn't say forehand or backhand. I just said least powerful drive.
All right. I have to look in the contract. I don't know if you're allowed to make fun of him.
Oh, it's definitely not. It's not making fun of him.
Well, no, I am.
How do you make fun of a four-time national champion?
It is hard. Well, when you're his older brother, I guess you can.
We know that the flat-out hard drive doesn't win matches on its own. So it is not a slight to Drew whatsoever. And his drive is better than the 98% of us anyway, right? So we're just talking about the court here. Some really big drives.
Well, thanks for including me in the 2%. That's a big compliment.
Drew sticks the volley as he does so well. So this is where we will see a lot of communication between the lefties on the overheads. You hear Drew calling very early, and Mick will take most of these. Drew is probably only going to take straight down that line. See him hugging the net. He's just going to wait and cover those volleys.
And I think to your point, Anthony, the interesting one is going to be when the ball goes to the ad side of the court. That may cause confusion because, like you said, for 100% of Mick and Drew's career, they have a righty taking that ball.
Exactly. So as athletic as they are, that one moment of indecision can change a point. So we'll see. But knowing Drew, he's already laid down the law, and he's put very clear parameters on when and where they should be taking their overheads. Great move by Mick.
And I think for as patient as all the players are, I think this is going to be an exciting match. Just because, like you said, the firepower of their forehands, the shot making at the net. I think Mick was going to switch on that one.
Yep. So right there, right, we see just a little bit. You always, as a lefty, gravitate to your side of the court, regardless if you know you shouldn't be. It's just a natural motion.
Love.
That was kind of an interesting overhead into the side screen, and it checked up really well. Mick played it nicely.
Yes, it looked like it was going to be more of a challenge, but it actually sat up pretty well.
That one, a little tougher.
Yes. And all the guys on the court can make that shot happen on a short lob. One of Drew's favorite shots. He hopes Marco gives him that a few more times. He has to move quickly to his left.
A little bit of a forced shot there. Interesting. You almost see Mick on that return. He kind of looked to see where they were before driving it off the back screen.
They lead the first set. 2 games to love.
I think
2-1.
G-Rob walking around over there is throwing Mick off a little bit. He's pacing around on that court. He seems nervous.
Also, a shout out to our sponsors, Clairfeld Citizen Private Wealth, Celebrity Motorcar, Xenon, the official ball of Pro Flight Paddle, paddlepro.com, Master Athletics, the official paddle of Pro Flight Paddle, P-Pack Private, Ricky Wright, Bleakley, Paddle Partners League. Shout out to the Lake George paddle community. Patty Hogan, one of our fellow commentators. Big influence up there in Lake George. Not only on the platform tennis court, but all throughout the community.
See the short back swing, backhand drive by Mark. So even if this is his first match, he looks quite comfortable out there. That is a dangerous shot.
Is that a wardrobe change by Mick?
Mick took the sweatshirt off.
He took it off. He means business now.
I think that the last 2 shots that Drew hit Anthony on those overheads, I think those are going to be big because, again, without having the righty, you can't really switch the ball to the other side.
Yes.
He's got to be patient and know that he's got to keep that ball straight ahead.
Exactly. So it does not play well for Drew to hit that ball cross court. This is going to pull him into the middle of the court where you're going to create more confusion there.
And especially on a shorter lob, that would be a normal switch ball for him. But there's no switching. Well, I guess they are switching.
You see they got a little crossed up there as well. So it's inevitable. They can fight through it.
Well, and I think when the higher level players and, they kind of see that they have that little sort of fumble in the middle, but then
30-40.
They go right back into the flow of play. A break point here. Howard, do we have anything coming out new with the Real Paddle Boys?
Anything new? I don't know. I mean, today was Football Friday. We had a whole assortment of great videos and pictures that the people from all over the country sent in, which was great. You know, we just kind of go with the flow. We just, you know, we look at a bunch of things throughout the day, and if anything kind of jumps out at us, we put it up there. I do want to give a shout out to Doggy Paddle Sports. This is a new company out there, new Instagram site. They're trying to get up on the scene. It's Doggy Paddle Sports. I love the name.
That ball was called in by Mick. It looked like he waved it in.
All right, Mark Powers going to serve it 3-1 here in the first set of the Pro Flight Paddle live from Mendham Golf and Tennis Club here in Mendham, New Jersey.
Signature drive by Drew. Short backswing.
Big crowd tonight. Little chilly out, but beautiful weather.
Love 30.
You and I, we're going that way. We're still going that way.
15-30.
Nick stood up a little on that one. Lost control of it.
Yeah, and those are the ones you can't give away. Love 30. It seems like you have a little bit of room, but Anthony, you know from all your success playing throughout the years that every point counts. There are no easy points. You don't want to give away. You know, you win an easy point, it almost feels like 2.
So true. Momentum can absolutely switch in 1 point. And that moment that you start thinking about the next game or the next point is when you're most susceptible to changing the tides.
Is that what I keep doing wrong?
Yes.
I think you just solved my game.
Never think of that next point. Never figure out the score in your head. So I'm going to give a shout out to Steve Haller because when we were playing our best paddle, he never knew what the score was. And when he didn't know what the score was, I knew he was in the zone. He's remembered every single match we ever played, and he will be able to tell you the Let Court winner from 2002, but he didn't know the score of the games, and that's when we were playing our best. Wasn't looking ahead, wasn't looking behind, just focused on the point.
Steve Holler playing out of Park Lakes. I'm sure he was tuning in to watch his fellow club members.
Yeah, Anthony, I think that's a really good point, right? Because when I'm playing, I'm always thinking about the last mistake that I made or the last point. And then when I do something well, I'm thinking about the next point or, you know, something down the road, right? And I think that's really important to kind of mentally kind of think about during the game. So
absolutely.
it's
We
really
all
important
we
to stay in
all
the
do
moment,
it. We
stay in the
all do it.
moment.
And the people that can tame that the best will have the most success.
That's a great dig by Mick.
Yes. Smooth as silk. Did not look difficult.
That's something you hear all the time. You know, people who don't really play that much or new to the game watch these pros and they say, well, this doesn't look that hard. You know, it looks like they're just kind of standing around hitting easy balls. But for those people who play a lot, they know every one of these shots is extremely difficult to hit.
I'll tell you, not only do we have a little uncharacteristic missed backhand there by Drew.
It is. Drew looked a little impatient on that one, which is
4-1.
not his style.
I do want to make note to all our fans watching that not only do we have many national champions and championships on the court, but in the crowd we have several junior national champions. I see Brendan McDonald. I see Luke Cusack here taking in the action. And Drew Broderick's #1 fan. Vincent Broderick also in the crowd watching as always. So it's nice to see our young national champions coming out to watch their senior national champions.
John's like, I'm so sorry.
So what needs to change here? Drew's down 4-1. We saw him miss a few backhands, which I think it was only 2, but even 2 for Drew is uncharacteristic. So should Mick be taking those middle balls a little bit more?
Well, you know what? It's funny when we started talking about, they're playing on the sides that they normally play on, and what would happen when they were at the net. But that is an interesting point because, Mick loves hitting his forehand, and he has a huge forehand, and Drew loves hitting his backhand, and he has a huge backhand. So it'll be interesting to see what they decide on and how they work it out. But early on here, I mean, as we're getting into the middle of the match, there is, and again, it doesn't look like much, but even a slight hesitation could throw them off.
Yes, absolutely, and that's what and Mick can hit a ridiculously hard drive, a soft drive, a looping drive, so he can control that ball in the middle of the court as well. Let's see what happens. Let's see if that changes. Drew is very quick. I've always said it. He's so quick to realize when a strategy's not working. He always goes into the matches with crazy, detailed strategies. If I'm ever going into a match with someone I haven't played before, I seek out Drew. I seek out Drew, and if Patty Hogan is around, so another shout out to Patty. I always seek Patty out because they can realize strategy changes faster than anyone else. And in paddle, you need to potentially need to change your strategy within one game before it gets away from you. So let's see. I think Drew may think about that middle ball a little bit, either before this set ends or early in the next set.
30-40.
With all the talk about PTI in the last match, for anybody out there who's interested, Mick is a negative 15.2 PTI after winning nationals in Montclair. Drew is a negative 4.6, Marco is a negative 3.6, and Mark Powers is a negative 7.2.
So these guys are pretty good.
They're not bad. They've had some success out there.
There you see a big one-handed backhand by Mick Odoya.
Oh, great get by Marco.
Mick is starting to feel it. He's turning it into another gear.
Game power Chicano. They lead the first set 5 games to 1. 5-1, gentlemen.
As a lefty myself, you know who I'm rooting for here.
15, look. 15, all.
Two faults.
15, 30.
That's the one right there. Let Mick take that one, I think, right? That was wide. Mick created that opportunity there, put in the sequence of events that led to them winning the point.
Great volleys by Drew.
Oh, yeah. See, that's a little of that confusion, right? That's absolutely Drew's ball. It's nearly impossible for Mick to take that from the sideline. Trouble.
Another big slash overhead there by Marco Grangiero. Crowd loves it, going wild here at the Mendham Golf Club and Tennis Club in Mendham, New Jersey.
Short overheads to any of these four players does not bode well.
Good lob there.
Just as I said.
Anything you can do, I can do better.
That's payback. Payback.
So when we have four such strong players on the court, and let's just focus on Drew and Mick right now. Drew's Mick's an alpha in his team of he and Sven, and Drew is usually the team lead, even when he's playing with, you know, Palmer, or he's usually controlling things. So when we have two people that could easily be alphas, how do you decide? And who should it be?
Right.
And does it change? Does it change during a match? Do you role play on and off, or is it better setting into a strategy and staying with it?
So we see Drew switching with the two lefties again.
They might have gotten away with one on the sideline there, but.
And that could be tactical that they're switching as well, because Drew may want Mick on the net volleying. I mean, he is an amazing volleyer. Really good return by Marco. Good pickup by Drew. With the volley off his shoelaces. There we see the athleticism of Mick Erdoya.
That's crazy athleticism. It's almost like what Ara said earlier. He made it look easy, but he took two big steps. If you're half a step slow on that ball, you miss that volley because it's down, it's lower. He was on top of the net and got there very quickly.
And he started it with a drive, like off the snowboard.
Right, and there's the shot we're talking about. Mick in the middle, a little bit more on Drew's side.
Right, and it looked like Drew got right out of his way.
And Drew decided to defer, and it worked out very well. So let's see if that has an impact on the next couple of games from the backcourt. For sure, Mick is the kind of player that has to be engaged. He has to be leading the points. You know, we talk about an alpha. He plays better when he's moving more.
So Drew, being the master strategist, is probably going to pick up on that and decide maybe he should play kind of more of a supportive role, right? Because Mick's not going to do that. Mick's not going to play the supportive role. It's just not who he is. But I think Drew can probably play both roles.
100% agree. We'll take that opportunity to switch.
And I think from the base, wow.
Mick blasts a forehand, and he wasn't even balanced when he took that swing.
I thought you're not supposed to drive when you're falling backwards. That's what Mick always tells me.
What an amazing shot.
Fantastic.
What was that?
Game,
Bedoya from downtown, fadeaway 3?
Mick always says no drives when you're falling back, but apparently it is very effective.
Right, that's that 98 to 2% thing
right.
again, right?
Remember, these are trained professionals on a closed paddle court. Please do not try at home. Again, thank you to all our viewers tuning in tonight to Pro Flight Paddle live from Mendham Golf and Tennis Club here in Mendham, New Jersey. You're watching Drew Broderick and Mick Bedoya, our team lefty, taking on Mark Powers and Marco Grangiero, our team righty.
Love 30. 15-30.
Just as always, we want to thank the sponsors, Clairfield Citizen Private Wealth, Celebrity Motorcar, Xenon, the official ball of Pro Flight Paddle, paddlepro.com, Master Athletics, the official paddle of Pro Flight Paddle, PPAC Private Wealth, Ricky Wright, Bleakley, Paddle Partners League.
Marco saw that one coming, stepped in, and was able to get it behind Drew. Great anticipation.
Want to mention out one of our viewers tonight, former New Jersey men's platform tennis president and longtime advocate of platform tennis around the country, Ron Cummins, tuning in from Connecticut.
I know there's a big fundraiser going on over at Short Hills tonight. And at the bar, I just got a picture of the screen. They're actually playing the Pro Flight event at the event. So they're all watching, they're having fun.
40.
They're raising money for a good cause.
Shout out to them. Ari, you never know who's listening.
That's right.
Anthony, I think these slower points are going to favor Mick and Drew a little bit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's a smart point, and
Server's choice.
Mick is being his usual surgical self with his forehand. He's dialing it up, he's dialing it back. He's been taking half pace forehands, very effective.
Another set point here for Powers and Grangiero. And I think this match has changed a little bit where,
It has.
you know, I think Marco and Mark ran out, rushed out to a quick lead, and Drew and Mick kind of settled things down a little bit.
Missed the lob, but I agree. I think we're going to see a different second set
They win
here.
the first set, 6 games to 3.
And I think even though Marco and Mark won the first set, it was just a matter of Drew and Mick sort of running out of a little bit of time here in that set. But I think the second set's going to be, might be a little bit different.
I just want to take a moment here to say happy anniversary to my wife of 16 years. I want to make sure the locks on the door are not changed by the time I get home.
Congratulations. That's
Thank
great.
you very much.
Congratulations.
I feel like that last comment's going to get me in trouble anyway, but
that's a nice shout out, Arthur.
Absolutely.
Nice shout out.
Well, congratulations to you and your wife, and happy anniversary.
Thank you.
As we have our sponsors listed here on your screen.
Okay, so does anything need to change? I think you said it already, Dave. I think Drew and Mick will come out. They were already gaining momentum in that set. I think they will continue with that momentum. I think the points are going to get a little bit longer. I think Mick is probably going to take more forehands in the middle. I think Drew is going to play his role and set Mick up. And I think they're going to come out to an early lead in this second set. And Marco adjust. I see the second set going differently.
You know, I agree, Anthony. I think, early on it was just, again, slight hesitation at the net and at the baseline with Mick and Drew, but it looks like towards the end of that set they were really settling in and were getting dialed in on, their game. And I do agree with you. I think this set, I don't think one team is going to get out to a quick lead like we saw in the first set.
Okay, as we start the second set, for those just joining us, the server right now is Mick Ordoya. On the far side of the court, his partner, Drew Broderick, playing the backhand. On the near side of the court, ready to receive, is Marco Grangerio. And in the head court, Mark Powers. No first in when money is on the line.
15 all.
All right, now they're even. Great crowd tonight here at Mendham Golf and Tennis Club.
That ball sounds a little cold, and maybe that's the first couple of points. Still getting used to the stiffness of the ball. That's a tough shot.
34.
Yeah, I think the ball's a little dead. A little cold.
Talk about having to play different roles. I mean, typically it's Sven who takes the overheads when he plays with Mick, right? And now Mick is in the role of taking the overheads. Just little adjustments that they have to make they may not feel 100% confident doing.
The old you, me.
The 6 U's and a me, and then I'll take it.
And I think they have to watch that low lob to Mark Powers. I think he likes that shoulder length overhead more than he likes the.
Yes.
Like there are some guys out there that they would prefer the higher overheads, the higher lob, but I think Mark Powers likes that shoulder height overhead.
He likes it, and
he does a lot with it.
He can put it low into the snowboard, which he just did 2 times in a row. And I think, again, we'll use that 98%, 2% thing. It's a nearly impossible shot to hit with any regularity. And he can do it, and you're absolutely right. He likes to see that ball drop low below the net. He slices it, pushes it within 2 feet of the baseline, and it hits the snowboard. So,
and often you see him holding it. He just does a lot with that ball, and his racket head speed that he gets through that ball so fast is pretty impressive.
I think also in attendance we have Rob Scanoni of the New Jersey Platform Tennis Association. And also watching at home, we have Paul Lowe of the Men's Interstate Platform Tennis League.
The good old Sunday league, the Mipple League.
The Mipple, 2 huge leagues out in Jersey.
Shout out Paul, shout out Rob. With the League Classic coming down the pike.
160 teams.
Biggest tournament. Is it still the biggest tournament on the planet?
It is.
It's the biggest tournament
I
in
think
the world.
I think this year signups were closed at an hour and a half into the registration.
I'm proud to say I was number 8 in the list. Rob was like, you were on it. You were number 8.
I heard the sign up for the League Classic was almost like the Taylor Swift tickets. We crashed the site. But that's a testament to the guys running that league. It's a fantastic tournament. I love playing in the League Classic. One of my favorite tournaments to show up for.
Yeah, last year was the first time I went to that tournament. I'd never gone before, and it was absolutely amazing. So
and you
much
went
fun.
home wondering, why haven't I done this the last 30 years?
I went home telling all of my friends in my club, like, why didn't you guys go to this event? So I think we're going to have an even larger turnout this year than ever before.
Fantastic tournament.
My bad. Stand corrected.
No, and I think the League Classic it's not only a great exhibition of platform tennis, but it's just a fun day, and
Well,
all players throughout the league come together, hang out together.
it is the quintessential camaraderie tournament because you're playing with someone from your club, right? And
Yeah.
we always used to try to get as many people from our club together to play, and you meet at lunch. And obviously the food is fantastic, and
You can't have 2 pros playing together.
and that's a nice little twist to it as well. In the last couple of years, great win.
Game, Broderick, Erdoya.
Okay, I'm not going to say I told you so, but I told you so. I knew Drew and Nick would come out a little stronger early on. They look quite serious.
And the crowd's starting to sway the match a little. They don't want to go home. They want to see the Pro Flight tiebreaker.
15-point tiebreaker.
It's Friday night. They want to be out.
15, love.
And I think for Marco and Mark, they just have to stay patient, hit the shots that they've been hitting, and not try to rush and force it.
Yeah, Mark rushed that one just a little bit, but
Follows it up with a bomb return.
yeah, but his forehand is just so spot on.
And that's one of those overheads where Mark Powers probably had 3 or 4 options, and Mick and Drew are looking for a drop shot or a slash, and now he holds it and he pushes it deep behind them.
Yeah, it's the third one he's already hit in this set.
Yeah, I personally like seeing Mick take that ball. It keeps them both in the court.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with you there, Dave, only because it throws off the responsibility, right? So if you, one of the things that I always say is the best thing you can do as a supporting overhead player is move out of the way, right? So that if Mick moves to his left, Drew sees that out of the corner of his eye, and he knows he has to hit it. When Mick takes even a hint of a move to his right, it creates confusion. So I say, Drew, you take them all, and Mick, you just take it if it's straight down that line. See, he's stepping out of the way. Drew knows he has to take that ball.
And it's funny, after I made that comment, I have to admit that you are right, because then I looked at it as, well, what if they were 2 righties? How would they do it? And yes, the righty on the right would move off the court. So, yeah, this is the lefty even has me as a commentator a little thrown.
And it's going to happen. Marco getting a little impatient, so that's 2 impatient swings in that game. In this game.
Nick is starting to talk to the crowd now.
The crowd really getting into it.
Definitely getting into it.
Also, you see Drew and Mick are a lot more communication this set. You know, they're communicating way more than they were in the first set. You know, and even again, there are some mix-ups that we see, but they're able to get away with it because of the early good communication.
And they're so polite, too. I mean, I just heard Drew say thank you during the point. And it's just nice to see the boys playing nice together.
It is a fun event, right? We can't forget that. But when you have 4 guys at this level, it's impossible to keep that competitive spirit at bay. Drew will probably lose sleep over that little missed volley there. That's how competitive he is.
30, 40.
Wow.
As usual, Drew did not even flinch on those volleys, but neither did Mark. Great exchange there.
All right, we're back to deuce here.
Server choice.
Big opportunity to go up 3-0. And I think that was a fault.
Game, Powers, Giordano.
That was big. 2 faults in one game by Drew. First 2 of the match.
First set, 2 games to 1.
Uh-oh. The crowd is now fighting with G-Rob. Some angry words back and forth.
They want to know the right score. They don't want to be guessing. They're into it. They're into every point here.
That ball was out.
Thank you, G-Rob.
Left 15.
Just for clarification and confirmation. We have the crowd dancing in front of us.
Yes.
It is almost 9 o'clock here on the East Coast. Good spot there by Marco Grangiero.
Right in the corner. No pace whatsoever. Didn't even come out. Great shot. You know, we talk about do pros practice what they preach, and we always hear instructors say drive over the low part of the net, drive in the middle, and if you've been watching Mick, he's been driving consistently. I mean, he moves it around within a 6-inch space, but it's always at that middle. And why is it so important to drive in the middle? And this is for the top level players and the club level players. When you hit it between 2 people, a decision has to be made.
Absolutely.
Do I hit it or do you hit it? And whenever you can force your opponents to make a decision, you increase your chance.
You know, and I try to explain to all the players that I coach that, you know, if you watch as the levels get higher and higher, the shorter the ball to drive gets, the more to the middle they aim. Because now you don't have, now to your point, they have to make a decision. But you've got to make a quick decision. You have to make a quick decision.
Right.
If you hit one of those balls at one player or cross court away from one of the players, you've made the decision for them.
Exactly, right? There's no decision to be made. You know you have to volley that ball. Drew is changing up his lobs. You see some of them are very half-paced and low arc, and then others are going up a little higher. Prevents his opponents from getting under the ball and really spinning it. And that's all very purposeful.
And we're seeing that this second set is starting out a lot slower than the first set did. You know, and even the tempo's, I think, favoring Mick and Drew right now. And I think this is the more of the style that they want to play.
Drew, for sure. I think Mick will have a hard time keeping this level of patience. I think he's salivating for a forehand or two. And I wonder what Drew told him to keep him under wraps these first 3 games. He hasn't really stepped and hit any big forehands yet.
And I think if you're Marco and Mark Powers, I think you want to limit the number of balls you're hitting to Mick. Because every time they hit it over there, they're just engaging him and keeping him in the point.
And they are. They are. Right now, they're. We know Drew plays a slower, more strategic game, and right now that's what Mark and Marco are thinking. Let's keep it a little bit more under control than having Mick dominate and creating a little more chaos over there.
So you're saying if they hit to Drew, the ball's definitely going to come back. And hopefully they can get Mick a little bit distracted out of the game. But if they hit to Mick, he's gonna rip it back at them. So really it's like you got to pick your poison.
You have to pick your poison.
Yeah, how do you win a point against these two?
And that's what, sometimes you'll stick with a strategy for a little bit, realize that's a great shot, and realize it's not working, and you change it again. And that's what I was saying earlier about Drew. He's very, very quick to realize what's working, what's not. Not everyone can do that. I know that for myself, that you get something in your mind, and sometimes it takes one too many games to change your strategy, and it could be deadly.
Because sometimes you think maybe I'm just not executing my strategy as well as I should,
Yes.
and you stick to it, not realizing it's not the right strategy. But what do you think is the strategy on the other side against Marco and Mark?
I think that, Drew's going to just hit a lot of spotted drives and well-placed overheads. And I think, knowing Drew as well as he knows the game of platform tennis, he's looking to set Mick up with a big forehand. And possibly, if he can get Mark and Marco moving, even better. And, I think his two right-handed players who are going to favor playing more to the ad side of the court, if they do hit a ball over to Mick over in the deuce side, that will create movement and it will create opportunities. Like even now you see Mark and Marco keeping the ball more to the middle, not going across. Well, there's one, but not really going across Mick's forehand.
Drew stutter stepped. It was there, but he hesitated 1 second because it really wasn't there as nicely as he would have liked it, but he probably could have still hit.
15-40. Thanks, Mark.
That's the 6th time G-Rob has made the wrong call on the score. 6th time. He's got to step it up. This is getting ridiculous.
Do we have a G-Rob head referee imposter out there?
It's possible. I don't know. Does he have his cigar out there right now? I don't think so. That might be the problem.
That could be the problem.
I think that's the issue. He's got to have a cigar out there.
Before he was just guessing and he was doing better with the smoke in his eye.
Game.
Drew.
Powers Giordano.
I think Drew's thinking a little bit too much right now. And when we talk about strategy, I think he's trying to figure out what's next. He's not loving the dynamic right now, and we're seeing him potentially miss a shot or two that he wouldn't normally miss.
There it is. G-Rob's got the cigar. Someone must have heard us. There he goes.
And let's not forget Pro Flight Paddle with the support of their sponsors to help make it happen. Clairfield Citizen Private Wealth, Celebrity Motorcar, Xenon, official ball of Pro Flight Paddle, paddlepro.com, Master Athletics, the official paddle of Pro Flight Paddle, P-Pack Private, Ricky Wright, Bleakley, and the Paddle Partners League. All proud sponsors of Pro Flight Paddle.
Love 30.
Again, we're here at the beautiful Mendham Golf and Tennis Club in Mendham, New Jersey, for another edition of Pro Flight Paddle Live.
Mick had very little real estate to work with on that first return forehand, and he put it in such a great spot, and he has since hit another fantastic forehand. And I think that's right. That's what Mark and Marco are seeing, is that when they hit it to Mick, he creates that little extra uncertainty, and I think they like a little bit more the predictability from Drew.
And it's the speed too, right? I mean, Drew's hitting the slower shots, giving him more time. Every time Mick hits the ball, he's blasting it.
There was virtually no backswing on Mark Power's backhand. That was so quick. So
short and quick.
Talk about taking time away. You know, we think about taking time away with lobs, but loading up on that backhand so quickly from inside the court makes it nearly impossible to catch up to that volley. You just have to be stuck in your position and hope it gets within a few inches of your paddle.
Drew's very content here, giving all those balls in the middle to Mick, letting him coming across.
If you notice, Mick is playing up in the court a little bit more. Drew's a little bit farther back. Mick's going to try to make them feel his presence there so that if they make a mistake short, they know he's going to drive it. And don't be mistaken, they know that. They know dropping a mistake there when he's standing a few feet closer is not a good idea. So they're forcing him to keep it to Drew's side.
Also, Mark and Marco are starting to kind of claw their way back into this as the crowd isn't into it as much as they were a little while ago.
I think it's a little cold out there, so
they're frozen.
Wow, that's an amazing get.
See, that's the play though. Drew has been very patient, hit a fantastic ball, great volley.
30 all. 40, 30.
I think he wrong-footed Marco there. Marco was looking for, you know, a push drive, and he wound up getting the lob.
Mick hits that cross-court back side return off the back screen so well. little bit of that confusion. They worked their way out of it. They left a hole in the middle of the court.
Marco can hit some unbelievable shots. That wasn't one of them.
That wasn't one of them.
That wasn't one of them.
But anyone who has played against Marco will know that that one-handed backhand off the side screen, cross court that dips over the net is deadly as well.
Do me a favor, Dave.
I haven't seen it too much.
During my next match, can you compliment my opponents?
Absolutely. All right, it's 4-2 here in the second set of Pro Flight Paddle Live from Mendham Golf and Tennis Club. Bit of a errant shot there.
15. Love 30.
Gonna get it.
Wow.
Great reflex volley by Mark Powers.
Can't believe Mark got that ball.
Drew did not count himself out of that point, though, for a moment. Might be the longest point of the match. Very.
I was going to say, I wonder if this feeds a little bit more into Drew's strategy, right?
It
These
does.
long points.
It absolutely does, and we see the result. A great dipping, short arced lob that put Mark out of position and dropped it a little low. Two quick points from Drew.
Roderick Eudora lead the second set, 4-3.
It has now started to snow outside. This is the first snowfall of the winter here in
really?
Jersey. Yeah.
Can't see that on the,
Thank you. I appreciate it.
on the monitor.
Guys, we want to thank Mendham Pro, Director of Rackets, Peter Tomic, for all of his support in getting this off the ground and helping make it happen tonight. Also, big Pro Flight Paddle supporters, Jeff Leach and Cindy Jones, also members here at Mendham Golf and Tennis Club, for helping to make it all happen and come together. And I think from the looks of it, it's been a successful night. All the members here at Mendham are very into it and enjoying the action.
Still a big crowd out here. So again, for those that may not know or just joined us, serving right now is Marco Grangerio. His partner at the net in the blue is Mark Powers. Returning, Drew Broderick. And driving down the middle there is Mick Erdoya. The lefties versus the righties. Drew and Mick jumped out to an early lead in the second set. Marco and Mark slowed it down just a little bit.
Wow, the lights went out mid-point.
Someone leaned on the light switch, but we're back up.
I think they were looking to turn the heaters off the court, and the switches are right next to each other.
The night the lights went out in Mendham.
I assume that's a let. And Marco comes back with a Nick serve. This is a big game here.
It just seems in this set, Mick and Drew have been playing from ahead the entire set. They just can't pull away. They're not pulling away.
They're not pulling away. That was a good point. And if you noticed again, Drew exaggerated his motions there to make sure Mick knew he was taking those overheads. No confusion whatsoever. I think that really helps. And now we got a fault out of Marco and how quickly it changes. It went from 35 to add out. And keep in mind, again, this is no ad scoring.
A little bit of a loose game there, loose couple of points.
That game turned very quickly. Drew and Mick are now up 5-3. We're all here for the 15-point tiebreaker. Let's just move to it.
That's it. Good anticipation there, Mark.
Mark,
good anticipation there by Mark Powers on that previous point.
Yes, he started moving before Drew even took a swing at it.
Interesting fact here. Do you know Drew and Mick were both former head rackets professionals at Essex Fells Country Club? I'm sure there's a big crowd back in Essex Fells rooting for Drew and Mick. Jimmy Irwin.
Yeah, that's a pretty easy.
Shifty and fuzzy, and
it's a pretty easy way to root when you know you have two guys that have been so successful at the same club.
There's a rumor that for the New Jersey Men's Winter League, Drew and Mick may be playing for Fellsbrook Club, where they both belong in the summer. That'd be a pretty good Winter League team. Mark Powers looks a little shaken up there. Hopefully he's all right.
Talk about rumors. I heard a big one. I heard that it's possible that Marek and Jared Palmer may be coming together again and playing some tournaments this year.
Really?
Yeah. You heard it here first on Pro Flight Paddle Live.
What a volley. Good forehand by Mick there.
Nice flick, pick up off the screen. Mick's always looking to come into the court.
Well, I think, if I remember correctly, talking with Mick, Jared Palmer was possibly interested in playing in the Montclair Open this year. I think I heard he might be teaching or coaching tennis at Princeton, possibly. That could be fact or fiction, but I remember hearing that.
I'm sure it was true. That's a weird rumor to make up. You know, like Jared Palmer is going to be teaching at Princeton. You know, there's probably some truth to it.
And where is Jared now? Is he in California or is he overseas?
No one knows.
I know he was overseas for a while. And
no one knows.
He's going to slide in just in time for the Nationals with Drew. That's a heck of an eye.
That's a good eye by Mark.
That was a set point as well. That's a good hold overhead.
Yes. Drew held that to the last second. Pushed it nice and deep behind Mark. All right, so here we go.
The crowd is going to get what they came for.
This is it. This is it.
New ball.
For those of you who are new to this format, this is a 15-point super tiebreaker. First to 15 wins. Do not have to win by 2, I believe, right?
No, I believe it's win by 1.
Win by 1, yep.
Oh, really? Win by 1.
Win by 1.
Whoever hits 15 wins.
And we are going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. Also, guys, want to give a thank you to the guy that's been Flight Live from day one, Evan Morgan, Big E. He's the man behind the cameras. He's behind the computer. He works the soundboard. He sets up. He breaks down.
So we have to make sure he's not behind a headset at the moment, so we'll need to make sure we thank him in person, but fantastic job.
Big E and Ben Morgan. He's out there, I believe, working in video production for the Detroit Lions. They were the dynamic duo when Pro Flight Live first started.
This is such a good camera angle, too. I mean, so many times we see these, like, you know, corner shots or through the wires or through the screens. This one just seems to be perfect.
We can see the entire, yes, we can see the entire court. Save that one little back corner, but it's not taking anything away from the match. Yep. I agree. I've seen a lot of matches where can't quite see what's happening in those corners. So if you're going to have one camera angle, this is a good one.
Yep.
And it's nice that it's not attached to the structure, so it doesn't shake and move around.
Right.
It's perfect.
This is like the hardest sport to live stream, I think.
Yes.
The only thing they could have done to make it harder is to put a roof over the court.
And we have out there watching, just reporting in, Jeff Chafkin from Morristown Field Club says he can't wait for this 15-point tiebreaker to start.
Okay, brand new ball, third set, 15-point super tiebreaker, and just one last time we'll reintroduce our players. Serving right now, Mark Powers, his partner, Marco Grangerio. Mark to serve to Drew Broderick right there, and his partner, Mick Erdoya.
And Mark Powers is the only one that's not a head pro or not a professional, tennis player or paddle player.
He's a civvy, as they say, a civilian.
Yeah. And you have Marco from Knickerbocker. You have Mick from Montclair, and of course Drew from Canoebrook.
So we started out with a fault. 1-0.
Volley, what hands by Mick. There we have our second picture sent to us, a photo of a TV screen with ProFlight Live on the screen.
I got one earlier from Tiernan Cavana.
Oh, so we're up to 3. We're at 3.
We're getting a bunch of them. I think Anna Zubori sent me one earlier. People love to take pictures of themselves watching ProFlight and send it out.
I'm sure a lot of people would like to do this every Friday night.
Peter Edgar from Baltimore sent me one earlier.
It is now 1-1. Good, our score is up to date.
Peter Edgar was up last week playing with Brian Combius and Blake Anderson over at
Atlantic
Fairmount.
Classic.
They played the Atlantic Classic together, a little tune-up with Blake.
Serving 2.
And Peter's from Baltimore, where they're doing that new Charm City Classic this year, which is another large tournament. I think it's a 64-team draw. It's very similar to the New Jersey Classic. They're kind of copying that same model, but it's paddle's really growing quite large in Baltimore as well. It's great to see.
173.
That
Again,
ball was wide.
For the amount of successes the League Classic has had, why wouldn't you?
I know. Now we're getting a lot of text messages and pictures of screens. I just got one from Chris Cole. I got one from my wife earlier.
It's going viral.
It's just getting crazy. Everyone out there, take photos of your screens and send them in, please.
Mick seems to be getting
Taking
a
over
little,
here.
a little bit more aggressive now. Came across the court to hit a beautiful forehand. I think he wants to take a little bit more control and speed up the pace of this final game. Tiebreaker.
If Drew finds out there are too many people enjoying our commentary, we might be locked in for the season.
I just got another one from Lauren Gebbia and Kerry Delmonico. This is getting crazy.
Love it. That ball goes wide. Broderick Erdoya
They're breaking away.
take a 4-1 lead at the changeover.
Broderick Erdoya.
As we know,
4-1.
a tiebreaker, one serve, and we switch sides, and then each player serves. We switch after every 4 after that, so each server serves twice.
Remember, this is the first to 15. So even though they have a 3-point cushion right here, Marco and Mark by no means are out of it.
It's a long way to go.
It is, there's still a lot of points to be played.
And G-Rob still has half a cigar left, so he's in it for the long haul.
No, he doesn't want this to end.
think they got away with one there.
They did. You won't see Mark miss that.
I think
more than once a match.
He was almost surprised that it came to him.
I think there was a little confusion between Drew and Mick there.
One, 7.
Now I think we have a little bit of separation.
This is a critical point here.
Although they still have to win 7 points. I think there have been a couple of 14-all third set pro flight breakers. I think possibly the first one was when Drew and Martin Bostrom played together and got to be 14-14. And I'll tell you, I was rooting for Martin to hit the high spin serve and try to win it with an ace, the high ace.
Over here. 7-7-2. 8-2.
G-Rob is all over the score right now.
Yeah, he's perked up in the third set.
He is. He's doing a phenomenal job out
Did
there.
he perk up, or now he's watching the match?
I think it's the cigar.
You see Marco and Mark here slowing the ball down a little bit, taking the air out of it. To your point, Anthony, you see those last 3 shots by Powers. He just hit 3 drives right down the middle of the court.
Yep.
And if they volley him back, they volley him back. But to your point, at least make someone make a decision.
And there goes Mark to work with that.
No,
that lets it drop, hits the spin, goes right at Drew's body. And Drew really squirreled his way around a few of those to get them back. Made it look much easier than they are. Those are hard balls to return right at your feet.
Some get.
Mick continues to stand, lob, and then step into the court, making his presence known.
Coming up with some amazing gets here to stay in the point.
Mick and Drew are not in a rush to switch sides again. But it does give them a little bit more of a safe spot there to mix backhand, and they do decide to switch.
Yeah, I didn't think Mick moving in. Oh, what a play by Mick.
Yeah, he's been looking for
The
that
crowd's
for the
going wild.
last 20 shots. He's been looking to sneak in.
You saw him every shot. He was kind of crawling up that side screen.
2-7-9.
For all the pictures of screens, I received my first one. Woohoo!
From Paul
Thanks,
Lowe.
thanks, Paul Lowe.
Serving 9.
That's what a shout out for the MIPL will get you. 3-9. There's still a lot of tiebreaker to play here. A 15-point tiebreaker is almost 4 games worth of points. So I know when we say tiebreaker, it seems short, but a lot of paddle to be played.
10-3.
Do you see
10-3.
But we do have a commanding lead.
10-3.
Drew's pinpoint accuracy with his backhand?
10-3.
I guess when I do tease him, I do have to give credit when credit is due.
Well, you know all our comments are certainly with perspective, knowing how good these players are, there's really nothing bad to say about any of them, but we have to say something.
And we do have to make it entertaining for the fans out there.
Or at least try.
Mick,
look at those hands.
Mick just pulled off 2 magic shots
Oh,
there
boy.
and won the point because he was able to stay in.
11-3.
And that's the epitome of make your opponents hit one more ball, right?
It
Make
is.
your opponents hit one more ball. We say it all the time, but proved true there.
Going back to an earlier point, now this is the point, this is the time when Mick and Drew should not be thinking, right, about winning this match or the
Right.
last point. They should be
Playing
focused on
this
winning
point.
this
Let's
point.
win this point.
Got it.
And I think Drew is one of the best of all time at that. And I will say specifically, I remember a match I watched him play with Chris Gambino. I might get the city wrong. I think it was Chicago or it perhaps was Philly. And he was down 4, 5, 6 set and match points. And if you watched him and you didn't know the score, you would not know that he was on the verge of losing. He plays the same exact way on every single point.
I got a glimpse of that at the Montclair Open. I think Drew was down, I think he was down 3-6 in a tiebreak. And one by one, just came back and won every point. Won 5 straight points to win the match.
When you know you take the right shots, then you should never have to change the way you play, right? If you're always taking the right shot at the right time, you're going to miss a number of them. But it shouldn't change the way you approach it. When you're taking the wrong shots, then you might feel like you have to change your game. And when you start changing your game late in a match, you become very vulnerable.
Like we were talking about earlier, for as many points as Drew and Mick were ahead, sounds like a lot. It's down to 6.
Oh, that was out.
Yeah.
12-5.
Uncharacteristic miss there by Mark Powers.
Drew's calling it tight.
Well, he found out it might be a PTI night.
In a friendly, he would have called that in.
Everybody wants the PTI to get better.
PTI, don't lie.
So
I'm going to be honest, mine's not accurate.
do we have a report out? Has anyone checked the PTI for our?
No, it won't for like Roxy and Gabby and them.
Yes.
No, it won't update till tomorrow. And somebody has to actually enter it in.
Enter it.
I don't know who's done that one yet, but maybe our Amin will do that for us.
I think James Glenn went home and entered it himself as soon as he left.
He might have. I saw him walking around double fisting 2 bourbons. So.
It was counting, but now I heard it's under PTI committee review.
Wow.
Oh, Marco stepped in for that one. Great pressure. Changed the dynamic on that point. Marco was creeping in, looking for some more offense.
12-6.
He's been relatively quiet offensively this match.
Six, 13.
G-Rob with the score, keeping us all awake tonight. Another laser forehand by Mick. Fadeaway. And to your point, Anthony, I like when Mick does step in, he does add that little bit of extra pressure.
Yeah, you just in the back of your mind, you know you can't hit that ball just the extra 1 or 2 feet short, because if you do, he's going to be waiting for it.
And sometimes you get players to think they've got to hit a better shot. And maybe, you know, that forces a mistake.
Absolutely. All comes down to, right, the showing a blitz sometimes has more of an impact than actually blitzing, right? You just get your opponents to think a little differently. Marco was a little ahead of that ball.
And he was on it. Yeah, he knew it. He saw it coming.
Yeah, just pushed it wide. That's what happens when you see it so well. He tried to do a little too much with it and end the point.
That's it.
There we have it.
All right, and there you have it tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for tuning in. Our winners of the lefties versus righties, Drew Broderick and Mick Adoya, defeat Mark Powers and Marco Grangiero. 15-6 in the third set pro flight breaker. Guys, it was always a pleasure. Ara, thank you for being with us tonight. Anthony as well.
Dave, Ara, thank you very much.
Thank you
a lot
all.
of fun. And
thanks
great
to
matches to
G-Rob,
watch.
and thanks to Mendham, right?
And until next time, we thank you for tuning in from Mendham Golf and Tennis Club. Until next Pro Flight Live, we'll see you soon.
Over and out.